And now, like, it's happening for the presidency. Okay. One is a fucking box office failure. The other is the motherfucking leader of the free world. What are we doing right now? We should have never done this. Okay. This is, oh my God, dangerous prospects. Meme about Bernie being president. How about that? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Polls are coming in. It's polomania. It's election mania. It's election watch. It's happening. We're doing it. We're doing the damn thing. We're fucking back, baby. Before you know it, you're gonna start seeing Steve Kornacki, and you know, you're gonna start seeing a lot more familiar faces. Dave Wasserman, Nate Cohn of the New York Times, Steve Kornacki with the khakis. Okay, before you know it, Steve King's gonna be standing in front of a fucking or John King is gonna be standing in front of a big screen television, pointing at things. Okay, he's gonna be pointing at things with his hands. He's gonna be manipulating the TV, telling you about like how this is actually a massive iPad. You're gonna hear bad takes from Nathaniel Silver and sometimes good takes, maybe. So that shit's happening right now. My sister supports RFK, please. What do I do? Get a new sister. I don't fucking know. Cool. I guess she likes real Americans that want to save the country from the awfulness of modern medicine. That's right. Edward Snowden is an RFK head. Yeah, dude. Edward Snowden, you know, he's a little bit of a kook, okay? My man's brain is fucking fried out in Russia. None of this would have had to happen if America was chill about whistleblowers and didn't like unjustly prosecute them. Edward Snowden could have been a normal guy, but no, he's just been living in Russia for far too fucking long. Costco guys dropped a song. This is the best 4th of July. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up. I love that. God, this is... See, this is why I used to dream about times like this, bro. I swear, like I would think about times like this. I'd be like, there's no way the Costco guys would fucking come up with a song on the 4th of July nonetheless. We'll get that in a second. The real first family. Yeah. New CBS News poll shows voters from both parties concerned about Biden's age following the debate. That's right. Oh man.
New CBS News poll shows voters from both parties are questioning whether President Biden is up to the job for another term. Since last week's debate, nearly 3/4 of voters say the president should not be running for office again. 86% cite his age as the leading reason why. And tonight, a new special edition of America Decides on CBS News 24/7.
Wait, that poll is really bad, bro. That's like, oh no, 66% don't like his record as president. 86% say his age is the reason why he shouldn't run for president. 71% say the decisions he might make in office. I suspect that's still a part of him being old and demented, but 66% saying his record as president is actually kind of bad. That's bad for the Democratic Party because that's no longer, you're misunderstanding the poll. Why shouldn't Biden be running for president? They're asking voters, why shouldn't Biden be running for president? And 66% said his record as president. I mean, you're saying half of it is Republican and there's a good chunk of independents in there, except you have to understand something. Oh, actually, this is top answers of voters who don't think he should run. These are no voters. I misunderstood it. This isn't all voters. This is just people who don't think he should run. And when they ask those people, like, why don't you think he should run? 86% say his age, 71% say the decisions he might make in office, and 66% say his record as president. Now, that's still bad for the record. It's not as bad as I thought. It's not like all voters, but that's still pretty fucking bad, dude. That's like a lot of independents, dog. You got Republicans, sure, but you also have a shit ton of independents who are looking at his record as president and going, yeah, no, I don't like his record as president, which is not great.
To a new special edition of America Decides on CBS News 24/7 called America Unfiltered. The voices behind the polls looks at some of the big ideas and concerns on the minds of voters. CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, met with voters and listened to what shapes their views. Here's a preview.
Let's bring in our CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto.
You've seen the CBS News polls that show you what voters think. But behind every number is a person with a story.
That facade of the American dream, it's unraveling.
Do you think democracy is threatened?
I think there's a threat.
So I hit the road to talk to them some more. Let them tell you in their own voices.
We have to start cutting somewhere. Inflation is rampant. Have you bought food lately?
How their experiences shaped what they think.
I came to this country. We had a.
I love when like a dude who's like a road worker in his high-vis gear is sitting at a fucking bar and he's like, we gotta start cutting spending. I don't know if he just like meant to cut the prices of commodities or if he's talking about government spending, because it's like, bro, one, very likely that you're getting paid by the government. And two, what do you mean cut government spending? What are you saying right now? Do you have any idea what you're saying? You're just repeating shit that you heard from like Fox News, and not even just Fox News, but just like neoliberal economists in general. Okay. Did you blast off on Twitter yet, by the way? Yes, I did. And then I fucking effed like 8 times. Thank you for trying to remind me though. I know you're well-intentioned. I did. I'm sorry for popping off. I'm just in a kind of bad mood because I literally, my stream went offline, I think 4 times when I originally started the stream. Anyway, yeah, neoliberal economists talking about how government spending is bad actually, and we should privatize stuff. That's probably the reason why my neck hurts. It's probably the reason why, people repeat this stuff, but ultimately they don't really think about it thoroughly. They don't really understand what that means. They don't really understand the consequences of such things, especially as it pertains to like their own lives, whether they're getting paid directly by the government, indirectly by the government, or what like government spending looks like. Or maybe he means military. Maybe he's a based anti-imperialist.
Go shop, breakfast shop. It was a lot of work.
Have things gotten more difficult over the last couple of years?
Definitely more difficult.
And why there's more to it than you'd expect.
I would just like, on both sides, for men in general to stop talking about women's issues.
I think we need to find a way to accept the fact that we can be different.
Okay, if I saw that man dribbling, I'll be like, you are not getting an interview, dude. Yo, that shit was ass, dude. I would not be confident about anything that man has to say. I'd be like, bro, that is... Look at this man's, dude. Look at this.
I think we need to find a way to accept the fact that we...
That's like, he's all wrist, bro. What are you doing? What the hell is that? What the fuck? We all start somewhere? Bro, he's like 45. What do you mean? He's not a child, dude. What are you talking about?
We can be different, but overall, I think most of these people want to see the country do better. We want to see the country continue to grow.
I thought that motherfucker was a basketball coach, bro. If that dude is coaching your kids, okay, if I had a child and that motherfucker was coaching my kids, I'd be like, we're changing schools. We're changing districts. We're changing countries. I'm going to Serbia, okay? There ain't no fucking way, dude. What is he coaching? Shaming late bloomers, brother. He is so bad.
Anthony Salvanto joins us now. Anthony, good morning. We saw you talking to voters in all different kinds of states.
I'm bringing a 6-year-old Chinese girl to do the ball handling drills, okay? Like, I'm going straight to Beijing and being like, we need to do a cultural exchange program. Here, you take this bald guy. He's going to be your coach. We need give me 8 Chinese kindergartners. They will teach America how to fucking ball. All right. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just Google that shit and you'll understand. Okay. They are on crack out there. They got mean ass handles, dude. They're like learning how to do hezzies at like 8.
Kinds of settings. What kind of issues did they say matter most to them right now?
Yeah, this is a story of the pollster goes out and talks to voters where they live, including people who took the polls. So when people ask, well, how can people think that? I thought, let them tell everybody in their voices. That's what this is all about. And what you find in common that they all have is Americans are willing to entertain a conversation with each other. I won't sugarcoat it. We have differences. We have divisions. But
I'm going to throw up, bro. Oh, this kind of coverage is so whack. Oh, my God. Americans are ready to talk to... I almost threw up. That was involuntary. That shit came out of me, dude. I heard this rhetoric, and that's what happened. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I hate this. Bro, unbutton your goddamn suit. You're sitting down, okay? Especially when you're gonna come in with some fucking bipartisan nonsense. Americans are ready to talk to one another. Oh, thanks, man. What a revelation.
But you watch this, you'll see that you can at least understand where people are coming from. And I think in the end, that should be a little bit uplifting, especially for Independence Day. So that was a lot of a learning experience for me in many ways.
Uplifting, but also realistic.
Like, what did you learn? That you can talk to a Republican? This is a learning experience? Like, what are we talking about? How is that something you need to learn, man? Bro, you are not in the Hasanabi Discord splinter server with a bunch of Discord kittens talking about doing a Maoist revolution and how Hasanabi is not revolutionary enough. You're a whole ass adult at CBS Mornings. Like, you talk to a million Republicans every fucking day. Those guys are sheltered, okay? Those guys, gals, and MBs are sheltered, and they don't talk to. This is like, we're breaking new grounds up in this bitch. I swear to God, this is actually a record, world record on how bad this shit is. Yo, I feel like I show speed in Norway, okay? But instead of getting fucking mobbed by my psychopathic 12-year-old fan base, I'm getting mobbed by the Croatian internet. I'm never, dude, oh my God, it's so fucking bad. Big W to Twitch DC screen though. It DC'd again, full DC'd, no shit. I have vids from the boys. Oh my God, they threw my daughter in the water. These fucking assholes. What the hell?
I should just drop her in the water. Yeah. Okay. Much better. She's like, you want to carry me the rest of the way?
She's too fat. You can't do this. She's too fat. Don't do this to her. Bro, you want to know the craziest thing, by the way? You want to know the craziest thing? It says my upload is 54 megabits per second. Okay, 54. So like, something ain't adding up. Okay, the math is not adding up here. Because like, how the fuck am I dropping the stream so hard while on my end it shows 54? I feel like A1 Hrvatska DOO from Zagreb is cooking my ass, dude. It's cooking my ass. Somebody's downloading porn at the hotel. Porn Hrvat hackers, dude. You would never take her on hikes. They're being the dads that stepped up. You're wrong. I actually take her out in nature every fucking morning, just not like hikes.
Much better. She's like, you want to carry me the rest of the way?
Stop trying to load vids.
I see as well. What did people tell you, and how might it impact the direction or who they pull that lever for?
You hear a lot that people don't feel their voices are being heard. So they may have a point of view or a party, but they also have this real suspicion of the political process, that it isn't working for them. Now, one gentleman talks about the elites. I said, well, who are the elites? He says, well, it's people who are arrogant, people who think they know better than we do. So you hear a
Bro, if I'm a journalist in middle America, I'm not asking that question. Okay? I don't want to know the answer to what some roadside construction guy has to say about who are the elites, okay? I feel like the answer I'm going to get from that guy is going to be maybe a little bit anti-Semitic. Oh, man.
A lot of that feedback from folks on either side as well, Michelle.
Last week's debate was obviously a watermark in this campaign. A new CBS News polling shows that former President Donald Trump has an edge over President Biden nationally. Tell us more about that fallout from the debate, and will we continue to see that?
So you're going to hear some of that in this documentary. After the documentary, and I taped it, went back and asked these folks about Joe Biden's age, especially for Democrats. And there's two components here. It's not so much that they aren't sure that he can do the job, it's whether he can campaign effectively. And what they're saying is not just that they feel like he might be out of touch, but their concern is they see a threat. They see a threat to democracy. And they wonder if their nominee is up for that fight. And that's what you hear them telling us, and that's what we also see reflected then again in the broader polling, Omar.
Well, and Michelle brought this up. Is this going to keep on going? Is this over for the Biden campaign, this issue, or are we going to see more of it?
Well, we've tracked for a long time these suspicions about whether or not Joe Biden in the polling is saying to have the cognitive and mental health to do the job. There was a decline right after the debate, and then a shift in Donald Trump's direction in the overall horse race. And what I mean by that is the national vote, and then, of course, what matters, the battleground states, the ones that would most decide the election. All of that is not a dramatically large lead for Donald Trump, but it is one, and it has moved in his direction, in part because Democrats say they're less likely to turn out. So you see that lower motivation coming out of all of this, and I think that's going to be the big question going forward.
We're looking forward to it. A lot of those deeper conversations. Anthony Salvanto, thank you very much.
Yeah, deeper conversation. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. This is actually the worst day. This is actually the worst stream I've ever done. I don't know what the fuck to do here. I got to stop complaining. I got to stop bitching. But God damn, this shit sucks so much ass. I'm going to do things that I can't say out loud, okay? Because I will get banned and perhaps even thrown in fucking Croatian prison. I want to do things. I'm getting throttled out the dick hole, dude. Are you streaming to an EU? No, my server is automatic. I'm not streaming to fucking America. I'm streaming from the EU. So I'm streaming to an EU server. I'm not streaming to the LA server. I don't want to hear, oh God, everyone's got so many. Everyone's like, this is my invitation to start giving you advice on how to fucking stream. We're just going to keep going through it, okay? It's going to be impacted a little bit, F's here and there. Yesterday I was too tired. The internet was still bad. Today I'm actually better rested, but the internet is so much worse. But yeah. Did you run the Ethernet cable over the door, under the door? I did it all. I ran the Ethernet cable under the door. I'm actually using a VPN. I also leaked my IP address ahead of time so I could get direct denial of service attacks. I'm personally throttling my internet by like downloading porn simultaneously on the side. I'm doing all of the wrong things, okay? Is that good? Is that what's going on? Thank you. Nobody gave me advice. Nobody gave me advice on what to do on stream, on how to have the perfect stream. So that's why I'm doing all of that.
After a disastrous performance in the first debate.
More border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
President Biden has fallen behind former President Donald Trump by 6 points. That's the widest lead in Wall Street Journal polling since 2021.
Both parties were looking to this debate as a way to jolt voters, and Joe Biden came out on the wrong side of that.
As the White House and Biden campaign scramble to contain the fallout, here are the major takeaways from the Wall Street Journal's post-debate poll.
It was a performance that was very uneven, and importantly, it was pretty uneven right from the start. He had difficulty finishing his sentence occasionally.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Post-debate, confidence in Biden's ability to lead fell. 80% of voters say the 81-year-old is too old to run for re-election, compared to 73% of voters in February.
Many Democratic voters in polls...
Okay, that's still insane. Like, even in February, dude, what are we talking about? In February, 73% were like, he's too old. And now it's like 90, now it's like 80%. Okay. Like, it's bad. And it keep getting worse and worse because Biden is going to keep aging.
Polls and strategists have said for a while that Joe Biden's biggest vulnerability in this election was how his age was perceived by the public. So the fact that our poll found that more voters think he's too old to be president after the debate than before the debate shows that he was really weakened by it.
And Democrats are especially worried. While voters have said they don't like either candidate, about 2/3 of Democrats want to replace Biden on the ballot, more than the number of Republicans who want to replace Trump.
What our poll found is that you could draw a straight line from that debate performance by Joe Biden to how the public is viewing him today, because only 6% of people in our poll who said that they watched the debate or heard about it thought that Joe Biden exceeded their expectations. That number was 46% for Trump.
Even though Trump expanded his lead, voters still have concerns about him too.
We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success.
While a lot of the attention will be on Biden, when we asked voters which was a bigger concern, Trump's behavior or Biden's age, voters were about equally split on which was a bigger concern.
Biden and White House aides have been insistent that he will not drop out of the race, but they have a lot of Democrats to win over after the debate.
The Biden campaign and Joe Biden himself have acknowledged that it was a bad night for them, but their theory of the case of why they stay in the race and their theory of the case of how Joe Biden can rebound is that the closer we get to Election Day, the more stark the choice will be between the policies of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, not simply their personalities or how they present. And so that's their theory of the case. A lot of Democrats have been saying the last couple of days that they disagree with that and they would like to pick a different candidate. And we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, not good, folks. That's it. Here's the CNN. Here's the CNN. Kamala, you didn't fall out of a coconut tree. Harris, Kamala Harris, within striking distance of Donald Trump. They're already talking about this, like fucking Kamala is running against Donald Trump.
Could not be higher.
It turns out perhaps they could be, particularly for Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's right. That's right.
Those 4 more years suddenly ringing a bit differently for a vice president at the center of a crisis consuming the White House and President Biden's re-election campaign. As the Democratic chorus grows louder for Biden to step aside a week after his fumbling debate performance, Harris is at the center of it all, playing the role of loyal running mate.
Joe Biden is our nominee. We beat Trump once.
Random tweets popping her up with videos of funny Kamala moments all over my timeline, bro. This is like, the people didn't learn their lesson from fucking Morbius, okay? When there were so many memes about Morbius and it was like, it was so bad, but then like they brought that shit back into theaters because people were like memeing about it too much. And now, like, it's happening for the presidency, okay? One is a fucking box office failure. The other is the motherfucking leader of the free world. What are we doing right now? We should have never done this, okay? This is, oh my God, dangerous prospects. Meme about Bernie being president. How about that? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Have you been watching Caroline Kwan streams? Dude, what do you think, dude? Honestly, what do you fucking think? Do you think I'm watching Caroline Kwan streams or any streams for that matter at 8 a.m.? It's not even 8 a.m. What is it? It's like 4 a.m. here at that point. When I'm not streaming, I'm sleeping, man. I'm in fucking Croatia. What the? Man, I got a fucking short ass fuse, bro. I'm sorry. Fuck. I really need to stop. I need to get the vibes better. Hopefully when this food comes in. Dude, I'm up at 4 a.m. watching Caroline Kwan streams.
And we're going to beat him again, period.
Even as she privately considers whether she'll soon have to pick one of her own if Biden passes the Democratic torch 4 months before Election Day. But that remains a big if, with signs of a Biden-Harris ticket suddenly not so obvious after all. Harris is in something of a historic holding pattern, leading the charge in defending the president moments after the debate to Anderson.
I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
Dude, I feel so bad for the EU frogs, actually, except like I'm also running on like America time still. That's part of the reason why I'm like fucked up. You guys are complaining. It's like, oh, this is what it feels like to be EU chatter. Bro, it's 9 p.m. It's not like that late to watch the stream. I do get why EU chatters don't watch the gaming though, because honestly, you commie. Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm gaming at like fucking 4 a.m. for you guys. There's no way. There ain't no goddamn way. I get it. But like the reason why I'm a sleepy guy right now is because I'm like Joe Brandon.
Careful balancing act of proving loyalty, yet trying to maintain credibility. Her future is at the heart of a conversation among Democrats, where respect may run deeper than consensus over the party's next steps.
I think she's a talented woman and someone who should be in the mix, but this is not a matter of just passing the mantle to her.
If Biden makes the decision to step aside, senior Democratic advisors tell CNN, he is expected to immediately throw his support behind Harris and ask delegates to do the same. Former presidents and party leaders will be asked to follow suit in hopes of avoiding a contentious fight. A more open race, advisors hope, would be for Harris's running mate, with a focus on leading Democratic governors. Harris has long taken a leading role in prosecuting the case against Donald Trump.
Let us be very clear about who is responsible. Former President Trump handpicked 3 Supreme Court justices because he intended for them to overturn Roe.
A new CNN poll finds Harris within striking distance of Trump in a hypothetical matchup, 47 to 45%, a race within the margin of error with no clear leader. Harris's stronger showing against Trump is built upon her standing with women. 50% of female voters back Harris over Trump, compared to 44% for Biden against Trump. And among independents, 43% backing Harris, just 34% for Biden. As we talk to voters like Maureen Glenn in Wisconsin, Harris's name often comes up when Democrats express concern about Biden's age.
Even if something were to happen to Biden, I have every faith in Kamala Harris, and I think that Biden or Kamala Harris has a sense to follow a qualified and good cabinet of leaders, and as a team that they can run the country well.
Vice President Harris is literally waiting in the wings. Should President Biden make a decision to step aside? Of course, that is his choice alone to make. But the campaign is called the Biden-Harris campaign for a reason. She's been raising money for it. She, in fact, owns half of it. So the political infrastructure and campaign war chest is hers should she become the Democratic presidential nominee. Jeff Zeleny, CNN, Washington.
Well, it's Independence Day in the United States, ahead of what could be a day of reckoning for President Joe Biden. He met with dozens of Democratic governors at the White House last night, telling them he's staying in the presidential race. Mr. Biden is fending off growing pressure to drop out after his debate performance in Atlanta last week. The governors who spoke publicly expressed support for the president. In a radio interview, he tried to downplay the damage.
Any reason for the American people to be concerned?
No, I had a bad debate.
Yeah.
I had a bad debate. But 90 minutes on stage does not erase what I've done for 3.5 years. Proud of the record. And we just got to keep moving.
Bro, he sounds like shit in the radio interview, bro. What is happening? Dog, this is like your wheelhouse. It's radio, man. You were there when it was invented. How does he still sound fucking old, man? What is going on? God damn. Anyway, here's the 3-minute ad break, Jack. I got nothing for this. I'm so internet's beat my ass today.
Politics senior reporter Stephen Collinson joins me now. I mean, he's sounding so confident. I guess he has to if he's going to stay in the race. But the Democratic convention, I think, is coming up in just over a month. What do you expect to happen between now and then? I mean, can he be replaced technically?
He could be replaced. It would be messy, but up until about 50 years ago, candidates were picked at Democratic and Republican conventions, so it's not impossible. The infrastructure and the history is there. Changing the presidential candidate at this late stage, however, just 4 months from the election, which is an eternity in lots of countries, like Britain, for example. You could hold 2 elections in that time, but as we know, American elections are very prolonged. It would be difficult, but not impossible. But I think we're coming up to a point, Max, over the next few days, when if the is going to shore this up, it has to be now, because there is not a great deal of confidence among Democrats about the way the White House has handled the aftermath of this crisis, let alone the showing that the president put on the debate. He's saying that 90 minutes doesn't erase what's happened over the 3.5 years, and that's true. But what voters have consistently said for the last 2 years to pollsters is they're worried about the next 4 years. Is the president up to serving another term in the White House that would end when he is 86? That's his problem, not what he's already done.
If the governors don't have much joy convincing him, the other place we can look is, of course, where the money's coming from, and that's the donors. What's happening there?
So if we believe what we're hearing from the campaign, the fundraising has been pretty robust.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm genuinely fearful of people looking at Biden's unpopularity and then attributing that to the Democratic Party's like actually progressive legislative agenda when it is actually progressive. Usually it's not. That will make the country even more right wing. That is what the Trump administration is now the Trump campaign is trying to do now. Being like, oh, it's not just Joe, it's the whole party. Throw the whole party. Like, that makes the dynamic of a Democrat being elected a positive A progressive Democrat being elected, even less likely.
Since the debate, the president does have an excellent fundraising operation. We only get good figures at the end of the month or the end of a 3-month period. But if it turned out that confidence started to ebb in the president and his fundraising started to tail off, that would be, as you say, a very dangerous metric for him. I think if he gets more bad polling, we're beginning to see some polls coming out now that show he was hurt by his performance. And it's not just that, you know, he's trailing Trump and candidates sometimes get a bounce from debates like Trump may be experiencing now that then gets stabilized. The president was behind in this race. It was very close, but he was behind. The debate was his best chance to change the scope of this election, to put the focus on Donald Trump and what he says is the extreme threat that he poses to democracy and the American way of life. All anybody has been talking about over the last week is Trump, is Biden's capacity and acuity, and that is not good for his campaign at all.
Okay, Stephen Collinson, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Happy 4th of July, and welcome to a special edition of Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany. Joining me today, Fox News correspondent Molly Line.
They got these ladies working on 4th of July, bro, just to hate extra hard.
Fox News contributor and president of American Spirit Enterprises, Tammy Bruce.
Also, I know. Edward Isaac Dover, CNN, new for me. Biden told Democratic governors of the White House last night that he would stop scheduling events after 8 p.m. and that he knows he needs more sleep. The debate last week started at 9 p.m. I get what he's trying to say, but it's just like he's running along with the, oh, I'm overworked, that's why I got cooked in the debate narrative. And everyone else is looking at him like, no, dude, you didn't get fucking overworked and that's why you got cooked. You're old as shit. So now when he tries to salvage that, running with the old narrative like, oh, I was traveling around too much, working too hard. People look at that and go, no, you weren't. Shut the fuck up. You're old.
News medical contributor Dr. Cenat Neshwat and Fox News contributor and Fox Nation host Tom Shalhoub. This, President Biden at the White House right now facing what may be the most critical 48 hours of his entire career as he battles to save his candidacy. The president's in danger of being forced to step aside as more Democrats express doubts that he can beat Donald Trump. As speculation
yesterday, live in front of this audience, I fucking found out that the Biden was jet lagged was so insane because the last time he had traveled before the debate was 11 days prior. 11. And what do you think Americans are going to think when they hear that? I lent no credence to that excuse anyway, because he's fucking flying around in Air Force One with like medical team strapped to the goddamn hip. It doesn't work that way. But still, 11 fucking days? That's crazy.
Voted yesterday that he may be considering pulling out of the race. The president unequivocally declared that he was in it to win it. Biden has called Democratic congressional leaders, met with 20 Democratic governors, and had a pep talk with White House staff, though that all came days and days too late. But it was part of an effort to convince skeptics that he has the energy, the mental acuity to win and lead for 4 more years. But now he's going to try to prove it to Americans tomorrow. He begins a swing state blitz in Wisconsin and sits for an interview with ABC News. But the tough reality is that the assurances, the shifting explanations, the spin that has his political aides that they've come up with so far, it's not working. Just take a look at this brutal new cover from The Economist. No way to run a country. Tammy, that image says a lot. A walker with the presidential seal from a well-respected British publication on the 4th of July, no less.
Yes, there to the left, of course. You've got the general media, so it's, I think, fascinated all of us, that this Biden that we see is not a new Biden. This has always been him. This is
you can't do that, especially not on 4th of July, bro. You can't do that. You're British. Know your fucking place. I'm starting to feel real goddamn patriotic up in this bitch. You can't be cooking Biden like, you can't be cooking an American president like that. You want another 1776? We'll come after you, motherfucker. I hate this.
Why he was in the basement in 2020. I'm sure he's more confused than usual that suddenly people have turned on him when this is what his life has been. And, you know, they're trying to figure that out. And I think that that also is a little misleading It doesn't need really a walker. It's not age. That implies age. He's addled. There's a cognitive issue, as we now are tending to say.
Bro, I can't believe this is their medical correspondent. I'm sorry. Fox News is so crazy, bro. Like, if your job is literally to be the medical correspondent, like, you can't be talking like me. Like, this is the type of shit I say, right? Like, oh yeah, his brain is broken. He's demented. You're on a fucking nationally televised. I caught it. Oh my God. I almost cooked my ass, brother. Wow, not even a single drop on me. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Look at that. Look at how I stopped it. That's awesome.
Americans know it very well. Too many American families know what that is that they've been seeing, and that it has gotten worse, perhaps, but this has been an issue from the start. When he first was running, he said, I'm going to be a transitionary president. It will be one term. Even then, they knew that this was probably not going to last. So I think that it's fascinating that suddenly everyone gets it, what we've been saying for 4 years. But if he was ahead in the polls, none of this would be happening. Despite the performance, let's say his performance, there was no bump and everything was fine, even though he's been unable to run the country, they would still be supporting him. There wouldn't be this rush. And that's, I think, the panic, because at this point, he can't win. It's that simple.
So on the polls, it's an interesting point because the governors met in the White House, Democratic governors, and they came out.
Yeah, she's not wrong, except the exact same goes for Donald Trump. You might have noticed a fun little moment before I almost dumped these turkey medallions on my lap, where she said, it's not age, it's dementia, which is true, technically. But the reason for why she's saying that is because Donald Trump is just as old. So she's not just attacking Biden, but she's trying to attack Biden from an avenue, from an angle where, like, Trump is not weak either. Medallion has to be the most unappealing meat shape. I agree. I need this protein, though.
These were the talking points. Notice Newsom's not here, Pritzker's not here. These three governors, here were the talking points.
A path to victory in November is the #1 priority, and that's the #1 priority of the president.
The president was very clear that he is in this to win this.
President Joe Biden is in it to win it.
So in it to win it. And as I said yesterday, Tom Shalhoub, we'd get the real story from the leaks, not from the talking points.
Yeah.
Well, the leaks came, and here they were. Two Democratic governors, Michelle Lujan Grisham of New Mexico, Janet Mills of Maine, expressed concern to Biden over whether he could still win their blue-leaning states. And for context on that, Biden won New Mexico by 11, Maine by 9. So that's the real story.
Yeah, also, you know, you can tell by these statements. Kathy Hochul, that looked like a hostage video to me.
Yes.
He is in it to win it. So, you know, not very convincing. The thing is he in it to win it? Or are they buying time to get their story straight, to kind of step down in a powerful way, bring in Kamala Harris? We don't know. We're all smart people. None of us know. It doesn't really matter. He's sticking.
You're not. None of you are smart. You are smart people.
Around, he's holding on. He said this, he's got the keys in his hand. They're saying, Grandpa, we got to take the keys away. You can't drive anymore. He's not going to let go of the keys. So when Grandpa won't let go of the keys, what do? You're going to tackle Grandpa? No. They're going to go as long as Joe will go. And so if he's going to wait to the convention, if he wants to set up Kamala Harris, we don't know what his plans are. I mean, he's meeting with his family. This is like Game of Thrones. He's sitting on that throne with the swords, and he's not getting off.
Those are some fantastic analogies. Very visual. I really like that. Molly, and so that's governors. But then when you flip over to Congress, they had a call yesterday, 5 p.m., congressional leaders. And the reporting there is interesting. This is CNN. House Democrat leadership divided over best path for Biden on call. Some said Biden needs to step aside. Several effectively told Jeffries to go to Biden and say it's time to go. Others raised concerns about frenzy if Biden withdrew. Jeffries, House Minority Leader, was in listening mode.
You know, there are reports that there are various letters being drafted that members of Congress are trying to figure out what to do. We know that at least 24 members of Congress are considering calling on him. They're worried about their seats. They're in these swing districts, and they're very concerned about what this could potentially mean for their races and just the down-party impact across all of the House heading into this election year. 2 congressmen, though, from Massachusetts, blue state, safe state, that are not worried about their seats, have stepped up to say something.
raising concerns about the president's continuation under the party's nominee. Congressman Seth Moulton has grave concerns about his ability to defeat Donald Trump. Congressman Jake Auchincloss that Biden needs to consult with fellow elected officials and public opinion research to determine if he's the strongest candidate to defeat Donald Trump in November. So the concern are coming across the board, whether people are concerned about their seats or not.
That's right. You know, and this is all from leaks that we're gathering, and few people have spoken openly on the Democrat side of the aisle about what's happening. But here's Van Jones. He's a big-time Dem. Here's what he said's going on.
Everybody comes on the air and says all this great stuff, but behind the scenes, it's full-scale panic. People are passing around legal memos. PDFs are flying back and forth on WhatsApp, trying to figure out what are the options, how can you replace Biden, how do you get him to do it in a way where he feels respected as he should be respected? Who should Kamala Harris's vice president be? The conversation on air and the conversation off air are completely different. But there is a big conversation happening right now about how this happens, not whether.
I mean, there's PDFs going around, Doctor.
You know, it's about time they acknowledge and respect the truth and the facts and what we've all been seeing these past several years. But we got to remember, the office of the presidency is a very stressful, grueling, demanding job. And that chronic stress,
There's something to be said about the identical panic that the Republican Party went through in an effort to try and oust Donald Trump. And then they were forced to capitulate. If you recall, it feels like a lifetime ago, but this exact same panic happened last year to the Republican Party. They were so fucking desperate to get Donald Trump out that in the primaries, they thought like, oh no, we got Ron DeSantis. And then they were like, okay, Ron DeSantis is the worst person on the planet. He is so uncharismatic. I want to kill myself every time I hear him speak. Who do we have as a replacement? Who is the institutional pick? Nikki fucking Haley. So them sitting here and laughing and making these fucking jokes is pretty funny. The difference is, at least the Democratic Party, it seems, is a little bit more competent about this replacement, I hope. Whereas the Republican Party directly failed at replacing Donald Trump and is suffering in the elections as a consequence. They're not polling that well. They're not polling well at all. They are the party of Trump. Trump brings his own candidate. Trump brings his own constituents, right? Fine. But he's also very off-putting to a broader electorate. This is something that we have to think about. This is something that the Republican Party thought about. And that's why they tried to fucking replace him. And then they failed. They failed spectacularly. So what did they do? They obviously circled the fucking wagons, tried their very best, and then they immediately re-upped their support and acted like that shit never happened at all.
It causes your body to release a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol damages part of your brain responsible for memory, for thinking, for decision making. So it's important now more than ever. Presidential health now more than ever is critical, especially for Americans to know what's going on. Because over time, since George Washington to FDR, Ronald Reagan to Biden now, the health of our presidents influence and impact.
Ronald Reagan on his second term was literally demented. Ronald Reagan was also demented in his second term in office. Fuck you mean? Oh, just like Ronald Reagan, we need to learn about the cognitive functions. I think that's her point. No. If that was her point, why the fuck would she use George Washington? Or just she said FDR too.
The decisions that they make and have an impact on us and on a global stage.
Tammy, Vivek Ramaswamy told me that if this happens, and he thinks he'll step aside, he doesn't think it happens now. He thinks it happens a little later in the cycle where they can debut a new candidate. There's this honeymoon period. It is an interesting thought.
Dude, you were literally in the White House. Why the fuck do you care about what Vivek Ramaswamy has to say? Vivek Ramaswamy, I have more experience tracking elections than Vivek Ramaswamy. What are you talking about? There is no world, like, it's like asking Andrew Yang what he thinks about the situation. Like, why the fuck would anybody do that? Who cares, man?
I don't know the practicality of it, but interesting.
Well, part of what they might be needing time for is to find out the legal problems, because this isn't just a declaration and suddenly all the ballots change. And of course, these are state-run dynamics, right? It's a state by state for the electoral votes, and you've got different state rules, when you can take someone off the ballot and when you can put someone else on the ballot, or you can't. It's not all delivered by leprechauns. It's not just the convention, right? He won those delegates. It's going to be official at the convention, even if he says, okay, never mind.
They're just not going to print his name. Shut up. Dude, they were trying to say this. There were chatters in here who like read it somewhere, probably on Reddit. And we're like, Hasan, what do you say to people saying like, they're just not going to put, like they already printed out the ballots with Brandon's name on it. Dude, what are you talking about, man? This is the goddamn United States of America. Like, you think there isn't enough fucking printers in the country? I mean, this was dumb as fuck when they took Trump off the ballot too. And there were people trying to argue against me when I was like, that's not going to fucking happen. You know? Like, people were like, well, technically he did violate the law. It's like, no, dude, no, there's no, like, this is not the Erdogan regime, okay? Like, you can't just fucking turn around and take off in a duopoly. You can't take off the Republican Party's candidate off the ticket because your state felt like it. Like, there's just like whoever the fuck the Democratic Party's candidate is, their name will be on that ticket. No, there are rules about deadlines for candidates on the ballot for different states. Ohio's earlier deadlines. Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. If you remember the Ohio case, Biden literally didn't actually fucking file in time or whatever, right? And there was a one-day media cycle around, oh, Biden might not be on the Ohio ticket. And it was like, no, of course he's going to be on the fucking ticket, man. Who gives a fuck about Ohio's rules? Like, Ohio could suck my dick. I'm just saying, like, there's no world. Like, what do you mean? Ohio's like, oh, yeah, we're just not going to. Sorry, it's the rules. Like, the fucking Democratic Party's presidential candidate is not going to be on the fucking ballot. Like, I will literally send the motherfucking National Guard into Ohio, okay? What are we talking about? Sick the motherfucking military on Ohio. It doesn't fucking work that way. Like, you can't just decide like this, okay? Anyway. Ohio already changed their law this year. Their date for Democratic nominees August 31st. Those stories are always wrong. I can link you the law that the Republican governor signed. It's not August 7th anymore in Ohio. Thank you. Even if it was, who gives a shit, dude? What are we talking about? Like, people act like this is like, people act like states can get away with that much. They can't. Okay? Tried to get away with slavery. It failed. The most you can do is like fuck women over, not let them get like medical procedures. Or like, you know, kill trans people. But there's no world in which like a state is just going to independently go, sorry, we just have this rule in the books. So we're just not going to put the fucking president because he didn't file properly. That's not how that works. That shit only works for like third party and independent candidates, okay? You can bully them all day, every day. You can't do that to the fucking Democrat or the Republican candidate.
You know, early voting starts. You've got ballots that cannot change. What are you going to say? Vote for Joe Biden, but it really means Kamala. I mean, what is he going to do? Is he going to say, yes, vote for me? This is a possibility. And then he's going to step down and then it's going to be Kamala? Is that so you're voting for him, but it's going to be a different president? All of this is unprecedented. But that's what they're probably trying to figure out at this point is it even possible? Is there even more chaos that generates distrust amongst the American people?
And you know who's going to exploit that? The GOP election attornees.
Yes.
They will be filing suits.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me.
Anyway, for people still on this tip about Ohio,